Sorry, that was not intentional by any means. I guess I'm just trying to get on. B, I apologize. Discussion of censure of aldermen.
Yes, Your Honor, I asked this to be on the agenda. I've asked a question to the city attorney. He responded to us, which is on the people's desk. Mr. Horner, can you give a little more explanation into your opinion as to how this works?
Section 3.11-40-15 of the Illinois Municipal Code provides for city councils determining their own rules of proceeding as it relates to punishment of its members based on their conduct, and it provides for a 2/3 vote. You could expel an alderman from a meeting for such misconduct, but not a second time for the same incident. Your section 2-2-1 double D of your council rules incorporates that, but it goes on to be a little more specific as to the nature of the conduct. And it says that any member acting or appearing in a lewd or disgraceful manner, or who would use opprobrious, obscene, or insulting language to or about any member of the council, or who does not obey the order of the chair, shall be on motion censured by a majority vote of the members present, or expelled by a 2/3 vote of all members elected. And reading those together, when it talks about members being present and the idea of the potential expulsion of a member based on the conduct, it's my opinion that the action to be taken, if there is an action suggested, should be taken contemporaneous with the alleged misconduct, which would mean at the same meeting. And I think the reason is based on the express language in both the statute and the ordinance, and also because if there's going to be an action taken, I think logic would dictate that it would be done contemporaneously, because otherwise these rules could be manipulated to expel somebody from a later meeting for a reason other than the misconduct.
Thank you. Your Honor, I want to take you back to the October 21st, 13 meeting, and I just want to ask you for my edification. The junior alderman from Ward 2 read a statement. Were you aware that she was going to make a statement to that effect?
Before that meeting?
I would, if just so everybody knows, and I know I've done this before, I want to make the city council aware that if your discussions are going to turn to a specific alderman, you have the ability to address this matter in executive session under section 2C3 of the Illinois Open Meetings Act, and I would recommend that you do so if your discussions are going to turn to a specific alderman.
I'm basically looking, Your Honor, I just wanted to know if you knew such a statement of that magnitude was going to be made that night. And I assume
If you're saying, was it orchestrated?
yes.
No.
Okay.
I had no idea.
Okay. Obviously, Your Honor, that I can see from the ruling from the city attorney that nothing can be able to be done per se. But Your Honor, the statement was written from a prepared statement, and I think it was done to evoke malice of me. I want to ask the city attorneys, because we look at these rules, what role does the chair play in trying? We had discussion with the public portion today where there were some objections where people were naming aldermen or yourself, or where is the role of the chair and the role of this council when we deviate from discussion of issues and we turn it into personal statements that cannot be backed?
Well, I think the role of the chair as the moderator would be if somebody raises point of order. That you do have rules currently in your council rules that address this, but I believe and I've recommended that both with public participation and communication amongst and between the council that we aim to improve civility. But you know, civility can be improved without formal rules as well. But I do believe it's something that we've discussed. I've been president of Ordinance and Legal Committee meetings where we've discussed it first in the context of public participation, and I anticipate that there will be proposed rules related to that to improve civility at the council meetings. But again, that discussion could also turn to communications among and between the council members during their deliberations, of course.
I just want to, for the record, Your Honor, and ladies and gentlemen out there, I want to take you back to the debate on March 26, 2013, at the Lindenwood University. As I told you in your office, Your Honor, the last question that was asked of the three candidates was basically what you believe were the good and the bad things of the various candidates. And ultimately, I was the only one that answered the question in full. And I stated that night, Your Honor, that I had some misgivings in relation to the way I felt you micromanage certain things. And I evidenced that with attending various committee meetings, voting in committee meetings, which I had never seen before of any mayor before. I also stated my concerns with Mr. Elmore's lack of managerial experience. But I stated about you both, Your Honor, both you and Mr. Elmore, that I've never questioned your honesty, compassion, concern for this city. And that is why it still disturbs me that on the 21st, that the junior alderman from Ward 2 makes an accusation that basically states that I had said that you were dishonest, were engaged in malfeasance, and I don't think a reasonable person would believe that. And I don't believe she can come up with a credible and non-biased person that can support that. And when I say credible and non-biased, my wife is a very credible person, but I certainly can't argue that she wouldn't be, certainly would have some bias in my favor. And my goal tonight, ladies and gentlemen, I want to make it very, very clear that, and those also associated with me that were implicated in this, that I never made such a statement. I have tried to exhaust all remedies, asking the alderman who made the statement to retract it, which he has not done. I do want to have your one page of your statement, Mr. Horner, entered into the record, and I also respectfully ask that my statement that I put out, Your Honor, on October 22nd, 2013, basically entered into the record, because I think this body needs to know, you know, we can sit there and debate all night on issues, and I think that's good. I think that's good, Your Honor. You know, Thomas Jefferson, third President of the United States, John Adams, the second President of the United States, they didn't get along. Sometimes they were bitter enemies, but they helped shape the foundation and principles of this country that we are now working with. But I don't believe those two men sat there and attacked each other on the city council. And I have to defend myself, and I'm also doing it, whether you can see it or not, doing it for you. And I thank you.
The only thing I'm questioning is, in the statement that's responsible to me and my fellow independents. I am an independent. I helped that campaign a lot. And if she meant it against me, I wish she would have said the names that were included in this, and not just say independents. Because when you say independents, that means every one of us independents. And I have never accused you of using money illegal or any other way. Yes, I crap about the parking lot, but I do it openly and say the statements were harmful to me, my fellow independents and backers, the only council as a whole. I have never done anything illegal like that. And if somebody wants to say something about me, I want them to say it to my face, not out in the public when they don't know what they're talking about.
Mr. White.
Although I agree with Alderman Hayden, I never heard anything he said. And I think we're getting a little bit personal with this, and I think maybe we ought to back off a little bit and go into executive session. Because we're starting to, as the performance said, we're starting to.
I would agree. I think we're kind of starting to cross the line here. So, if there's nothing else now, yes.
I have a question about the procedure. We received our automatic package on Thursday. This was clearly on there. The attorney communication with some aldermen was Wednesday. So I'm questioning why I was supposed to make a decision or not make a decision based on this legal opinion.
I can explain that. Mr. Hayden emailed that request to dcook@belleville.net. Unfortunately, my email is dbcook@belleville.net, and that's why I highlighted there on the front. And just a note for everyone, if you've ever sent me correspondence to dcook@belleville.net, although it does not come back undeliverable, it does not come to me. So, exactly.
That's immaterial to me. Why did you not receive this information from the city attorney?
I do not know.
It was a question directed to me by Alderman Hayden and Alderman Galetti, so I responded to their
Okay, I
inquiry.
see that, but it affects very much the business this council is supposed to do.
Well, I would need to have direction if I'm going to respond to an inquiry from an individual alderman. If you want the policy to be to copy it all, then I need to be so
No, but
directed.
you're telling me in this,
I didn't-
I can't do anything based on this.
No,
And I don't understand how that works.
no, that response was actually sent before the agenda. It was put on there, I think, at the request of Alderman Hayden as a topic, but the response itself, when I sent that, it was in response to a specific inquiry from Alderman Hayden and Alderman Galetti that I had no idea. Yes, I researched it, but I didn't realize when I started.
Could you let him finish his sentence, please?
When I responded, it was in the context of responding to a specific inquiry. I had no idea that it was going to be a matter of topic for a city council meeting.
So can we go in, are we going to go in?
Hang on. We're going to go, if we're done with this particular topic in open session, I'm going to ask for a motion to go into executive session to discuss personnel litigation and property acquisition. Do I hear that motion?
Yes.
Who made the motion? Alderman White made the motion. Who seconded it? Seconded, Alderman Schmidt. I'm looking for hands. All in favor of going into executive session for the expressed reasons as stated, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Ladies and gentlemen, we do need our attorney for the workers' comp to stay. Is there any other